The presidential race is too close to call. Which states, including Oklahoma, have been tallied and which ones still have votes to count?
Senator Jim Inhofe wins another term in the U.S. Senate. We'll show you how he first heard the news from Fox 23.
Oklahomans reject both state questions on the ballot. Why voters said no.
Covering news that matters. Fox 23 News This Morning starts right now.
Good morning, I'm Michelle Lynn.
And I'm Ron Terrell. It is 4:30. We are waking up without a clear winner in the 2020 presidential election.
The Associated Press called Oklahoma a win for President Trump, but thousands of absentee ballots still have to be counted in several battleground states. That, of course, not the only important race here in Oklahoma. We've got live team coverage this morning looking at who won in your districts and hearing from the men and women who got your votes.
First, though, let's get to the Fox 23 Severe Weather Center. Meteorologist Michael Sager is tracking temperatures in the 70s once again for today.
Yeah, clouds today compared to yesterday. We'll break it all down for you in about 10 minutes.
We're going to have to be patient until the hard work of tallying the votes is finished. And it ain't over till every vote is counted, every ballot is counted.
We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
The president and former vice president spoke to crowds early this morning as the results continue to come in.
It is a tight race where things could easily change this morning and in the days ahead. Here's a look at the national popular vote. Right now, President Trump, actually, he did hold a narrow lead. Now, Vice President Joe Biden holds a narrow lead with many more votes still to be counted. As for the Electoral College vote that decides the election, it's just as close. A lot of states, as you can see on the map, still have not been called yet. Right now, Vice President Joe Biden has more Electoral College votes.
As you just saw, Oklahoma ran red for President Trump. The vote in Oklahoma was 65% for President Trump to Biden's 32%.
Oh, it did?
Congratulations.
Well, okay, I heard it here first. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Fox 23 broke the news to Senator Jim Inhofe that he won re-election to the U.S. Senate, beating challenger Abby Broyles. Fox 23's Amanda Gilbert is live in Broken Arrow, where the Republican Watch Party was held, with why Senator Inhofe is telling us this will be his last term.
Michelle, it's quiet out here this morning, but the Stony Creek Hotel is where that watch party was. Now, Senator Inhofe told us after re-election that he turns 86 this month. This will be his final term. Now, this means he will serve 6 more years. He has been in this seat since 1994, and this will now be his 5th term. He was declared the winner shortly after 7 last night at a very packed Republican watch party. You're seeing video of that party here. Senator Inhofe reflected on the moment he won. Take a look.
I feel very good, and they did call it pretty early. And ironically, they called it at a time I was talking to 9 cameras, and that's always a fun thing. You know, I'm sure I was smiling.
And again, he beat Democratic challenger Abby Broyles. She was a former journalist in Oklahoma City. Now, we did interview the senator after he was reelected. I'm breaking down that sound for the next 30 minutes. Reporting live in Broken Arrow, covering news that matters, I'm Amanda Gilbert, Fox 23 News.
Fox 23 was live at both the Democratic and Republican watch parties, seeing a different atmosphere when it comes to COVID-19 precautions. More than 500 people were at the Stony Creek Hotel in BA in a conference room that seats 544. There's no mask mandate in the city there, so masks were optional. The Tulsa County Republican Party chairman said, quote, "Democrats are the ones mandating masks. We feel it's a personal choice."
The Democrats held their watch party at One Oak Field. Take a look. About 200 people gathered there, many in masks and socially distanced outside to watch the results come in together. Members of the Tulsa County Democrats worked closely with the local candidates and say it's good to talk with people who share their political views.
In You Decide 2020, voters failed to pass the 2 state questions on the Oklahoma ballot. Fox 23's Naomi Kitt is live at the Tulsa County Courthouse breaking down what that means.
Ron, the most widely debated state question, 805, impacts right here at the courthouse, and more specifically, the criminal justice system across the state of Oklahoma. 61% of voters said no. The Criminal Justice Reform Initiative would have prevented using a person's past nonviolent felony convictions from giving them a longer sentence for a new nonviolent crime. I talked with several sheriffs across Green Country before the election who were against the measure, saying it would allow career criminals to continue to commit crimes with little punishment. We talked with the Tulsa County Sheriff after that measure failed to pass last night.
I think it's great for Oklahoma, and I think it's a testament to the people of Oklahoma. And they saw through that bad state question. They saw through the millions of dollars from outside entities pouring in.
The second state question would have decreased the money deposited into the state's tobacco settlement endowment trust fund. It would have redirected most of that money to help pay for the state's Medicaid program. Coming up in the next half hour, I'll let you know the major argument that Fox 23 political analyst said really helped decide state question 805. I'm putting together that part of the story for you at 5. Reporting live downtown, covering news that matters, I'm Naomi Kitt, Fox 23 News.
Now to the races for seats in the Oklahoma House of Representatives. District 11 covers Bartlesville, Collinsville, Owasso, and Vera. Wendy Stearman beat Emily Tyndall. You can see Wendy Stearman took 68% of the vote.
District 23 covers portions of Tulsa, Catoosa, Fair Oaks, Owasso, and Verdigris. Terry O'Donnell defeated Susan Carl Young 62 to 38%.
District 29 covers communities in Creek County, including Bristow, Manford, and Sapulpa. Kyle Hilbert overwhelmingly beat Rick Paris 82 to 18%. Now the results of several Tulsa City Council races.
Let's start with a race where the incumbent had a real fight on his hands. District 5 incumbent Cass Failer losing his bid for re-election to Mikey Arthrell 51 to 49%.
In District 6, incumbent Connie Dodson won big. She easily beat her opponent Christian Bengal with 63% of the vote.
And in District 7, incumbent Lori Dector Wright winning narrowly over Justin Van Kirk 55 to 44% to keep her seat. Long lines didn't stop people from doing their civic duty at the polls. Those lines moved pretty quickly in most cases. One family told us it took them about 40 minutes to vote Tuesday morning. They cast 4 of the 365 votes at Asbury United Methodist Church by 11 a.m.
I'm very excited to use my voice. I feel very proud.
What about you?
I'm excited too. I think it's important to vote, especially for the youth.
We talked with several precinct officials in South Tulsa who said they didn't run into any problems.
92 years young and Glendoris Hopper still made it to the polls to vote in the Tulsa County election. She has not missed an election since the Eisenhower presidency.
This picture was taken right around the time she tried to cast her first presidential vote. She was 20 years old and got turned away.
I love that spirit, still trying to cast her vote. She cast her first vote in the Eisenhower election at the age of 26 in 1952.
Clearly, voting is something special to you, huh?
Of course, because, I mean, we're a free people, and if we're going to stay free, we have to vote. I had wanted to vote.
We asked what she would like to see in the next president, and she said one word: truth. Good for her. Love that spirit.
That is awesome. Just a great story. Now to the latest on the coronavirus. For the first time during this pandemic, Oklahoma has more than 1,000 patients in the hospital with a suspected or confirmed positive case.
The state is reporting more than 1,300 new cases, bringing the total since March to more than 126,000. We lost 21 more Oklahomans to the virus, bringing the death toll to 1,375.
There are more than 15,900 active cases across the state.
Muskogee Public Schools says the 7th and 8th grade academy at Ben Franklin will remain in virtual days for the rest of the week.
That decision was prompted by a large amount of students having to quarantine because of close contact with COVID-19 positive students. At least 97 students and 2 teachers are self-isolating.
Students in all other Muskogee Public Schools will be back in class today.
Happening today, Tulsa Public Schools is teaming up with the Oklahoma Caring Van to offer free flu shots to children.
It'll happen at East Central High School from 3:30 to 5:30. This is video from their last free flu shot event at Booker T. Washington.
The Oklahoma Caring Van staff will be following COVID-19 safety guidelines for all health screenings. They ask families to wear face masks and follow safe distancing practices.
At 4:40 this morning, temperatures are on the cool side, but we are enjoying a great stretch of weather. What a difference from last week.
Absolutely. Meteorologist Michael Sager is.
We expect that to arrive more specifically in about 10 minutes.
Right now, 4:41 is the time. A bus driver shortage due to COVID canceled school in Bixby. How they were able to get drivers needed to reopen the school. More You Decide 2020 coverage ahead. Results from a pair of state Senate races that got a lot of attention.
4:44. Let's take a look at one of the other races of those representing Oklahoma and Washington. The state Senate District 39. Dave Rader, the incumbent, with 55% of the vote. He was able to fend off Shauna Mott Wright, president of the Tulsa Classroom Teachers Association. She took 45% of the vote.
Fox 23 investigative reporter Jana Clark has been a watchdog all election season, keeping a close eye on the security of your vote. Jana shows us how the Tulsa County Election Board works to make sure each person can only vote one time.
The double voting thing really kind of scares me a little bit. That's because that will happen.
State Election Board Secretary Paul Zierix assured me your absentee ballot will be secure.
Now look at the results in a Tulsa County Commission race and a couple of races for sheriff. Incumbent Commissioner Karen Keith held on to her seat. She beat challenger Josh Turley with 55 to 45% of the vote.
In Cherokee County, Sheriff Jason Chenault will remain sheriff. He defeated Manuel E. Holland 59 to 41%.
In Pawnee County, incumbent Mike Waters lost to Darren Varnell Waters, getting 41% of the vote. You can see Darren Varnell took 59%. 4:47 now. We are cool, but we are enjoying gorgeous weather this week.
That's right. Yeah, yesterday was fantastic.
By next Wednesday and Thursday, so take advantage of some of the gorgeous weather we've got here the next few days. Monitoring what we've got this morning as you are heading out for that morning drive on this Wednesday in about 10 minutes.
Our coverage of You Decide 2020 continues with the state Senate races. Both districts 35 and 37 were up for grabs. Fox 23 Scott Martin is live with reaction from some of the candidates.
Yeah, Ron, both Democrats and Republicans getting a win in the state Senate race. And most notably, District 37, incumbent Allison Eichley Freeman, a Democrat. She lost the race against Republican Cody Rogers. Now, many of you may remember Eichley Freeman was in a really bad car accident on her way to the Oklahoma Capitol earlier this year. So a tough loss for her last night. Also, the Democrats, they got a win for District 35. Democrat Joanna Dossett defeating her opponent, Republican Cheryl Baber. And here's what she had to say when she announced or addressed the public, her constituents, and those who were at the Democratic Watch Party when she won.
We just flipped State Senate District 35. And when I say we, I mean all of us here who believe in a better state for our working families and a better future for our children. When we first formed this campaign, we said we would focus on the issues that matter at our kitchen tables, not the issues that captivate us on cable television news.
Yeah, she seemed very excited flipping that Senate seat there at the Oklahoma State Senate. Now, she also talked about how she wants to work with her opponent, Cheryl Baber, and talk to her about what she thinks some of the issues are. And she also talked about how ugly of a campaign that it has been. I also talked with Cheryl Baber earlier this year, and she agreed that this campaign was an ugly campaign throughout the process. You'll hear more from Dossett coming up in the next hour. We're live in Tulsa this morning, covering news that matters. I'm Scott Martin, Fox 23 News.
4:51 is the time.
There's a lot of folks that are fear-mongering and telling Oklahomans we don't have the hospital capacity. Simply not true.
We're hearing from Governor Stitt about record numbers of COVID patients in Oklahoma hospitals and why he says he still won't mandate face masks. 4:55, our You Decide 2020 live team coverage continues with more voter turnout records. We've been telling you about record numbers of early and absentee voters statewide. Fox 23's Amanda Harry's live with the record Oklahomans set yesterday.
Michelle, the most Oklahomans to cast a ballot in a presidential election in the last 20 years was back in 2008. But this year, we beat that number. We already knew that Oklahomans smashed early voting records this year. In the state's largest counties, including Tulsa, voters waited hours to cast ballots. Last night, the Oklahoma Election Board posted on Twitter that the most votes cast in a presidential election in the last 20 years was in 2008. That was 1.462 million. Yesterday, we were at 1.532 million, and they were still counting the ballots. Why the Oklahoma Election Board was expecting to see these record numbers yesterday, all of that in the next hour. Live in Tulsa, covering news that matters, Amanda Harry, Fox 23 News.
Right now, 4:56 is the time. A pair of state questions on the ballot Tuesday. Why voters in Oklahoma rejected both.